All right, you know what time it is, baby. Yeah, so Arthur Moats here, joined once again by the homie Dominic Ferro, aka Dom, made his first official live
Hmm.
podcast this week, man. Shout out to that, man. The people definitely was liking your content. They were rocking with you. How'd you feel? The sharks ain't eat you up too bad, did they?
No, they were all supportive in the comments. I was a little nervous, it's a little different, the pre-recorded. I was definitely a
Yeah.
little anxious, but I think it went really well. I think hopefully Aaron Rodgers will be signing. Hopefully my takes will turn out to be accurate. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
No, without a doubt, man. Like I said, we'll definitely have to do it again, man. Because like I said, the people definitely were liking you, man, being on the thing, man. But with that being the case, we had some big changes taking place in the NFL, and some that were potentially about to be passed, but we're now kind of in the wait and see element of that with these NFL rule changes, and specifically the tush push. We obviously know that's what Philly has, made really polarizing these past couple of seasons. And the NFL at this most recent owners meeting voted against it, and was it 16 teams were opposed to it, but obviously they need, I believe it was 24 total votes against it for it to pass. So what they ended up doing was tabling it to revote later in May. But just want to get your thoughts though, man, in terms of the tush push. Where do you fall on that, man? Is this something that you think should be banned, or are you cool with it the way that it currently is?
I have contradicting opinions on it. I think if this was the Steelers being super successful with this, like the Eagles, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
all for keeping this in the league. Um, but you see how efficient and effective it is for the Eagles, and it takes a little bit of the unpredictability out of football. I think there's so many
Mm.
leagues like baseball and NBA where like analytics has really not dumbed down the sport but made it more simple. I think football
Yeah.
is so complex, and that's what makes it the most watched sport in the United States. And I
Yeah.
think it takes a little bit of that complexity out of the game. It makes it way too simple. It's not fun for viewers. So that would be the reason why I would be okay with them getting rid of it. It just takes out a boring part of the game. And they're trying to make things more exciting, like we saw with the kick return rules that they've been
Mm-hmm.
changing these past few years. But the thing that the owners are arguing for why this should be tush push should be banned is because they say it has a higher rate of injury. I don't know if I really
I'm with
think that
you.
that should have a factor in them getting rid of it. I don't think that should be one of like the top arguments for getting rid of it.
Hey
I think
Dom,
it's
I
just
gotta ask
boring.
you a question real quick, Dom. You've seen the tush push a lot. I've seen the tush push a lot. How many times have you seen actual injuries following the tush push?
I
It's not
couldn't
like
think
we're
of
talking
one.
like kickoff, right? I'm like
Yeah.
kickoffs. We've seen some collisions, the hip drop tackle. We've seen, okay, direct result. That happens, injury happens. Heck, even the blind side block, right? We could point direct. Okay, that happens, that happens. I'm trying to figure out, when did it become a player health and safety issue with the tush push? Like
Hmm.
outside of your ego and your pride, what is actually getting hurt on display?
Like you could think of specific instances for a lot of these player safety roles,
Mm-hmm.
like horse collar, like the hip
Yeah,
drop tackle. Like I'm thinking Mark Andrews last year. That was a
absolutely.
big thing that made them enforce
Mm-hmm.
this role. There wasn't really a big injury that happened with this tush push that made me think that they need to stop this right away.
Hey, look, and it's not even like we're talking about having just, every team in the league running it. Man, it's three teams that realistically run the tush push or a concept similar to it: Philadelphia, Buffalo, Baltimore. Outside of that, we don't really see teams do that, which still to me is head scratching, because this is very much a copycat league. And to see teams that have decided to implement this in short yardage situations have, was it 98, 99% success running it, and effectively adding an additional, 10 to 20 plays to your game on that side of the ball, because you're getting to extend the drive now. I
Yeah.
mean, just from the analytics standpoint, even with that, it's like, I'm surprised more teams aren't doing it. But that's, once again, why I was a little bit shocked to see that so many teams were voting against it, because I'm like, man, if it was something that is just so cookie cutter that anybody could do it, why don't more teams do it? And
Yeah,
to see the vote being how it is, I'm just like, man, this is a little bit more nuanced than I thought it was. To initially, look at it.
yeah, and I think 16 teams. That seems like we're moving in a direction where this could be
It's
banned
half
in
the
the next
league.
2-3 years. It seems like a
Yeah,
lot of coaches from their comments, not all of them are like super hard against it, but there are a good amount that definitely don't seem to really
yeah.
care one way or another whether this gets banned, and that reason makes me think that it will get banned in the next few
Because they
years.
don't have a strong stance one way or the other on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Eagles, if they can continue their dominance with this, that might just help the tush push get banned even quicker. They could have a bit of a fall off. Maybe it's not as efficient. Maybe defenses will be able to counteract this. That would be the way that I think
I
the
mean,
NFL
look,
should
we
handle it.
saw what that potentially looked like. NFC Championship game, Frankie Louvu. We saw what the defenses are starting to, I guess, pivot to,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point where we were about to have history made, right? We were about to see the first touchdown be given to a team in a NFC Championship game solely based on repetitive penalties.
Yeah,
That would have, I still to this day, I'm like, I really wish we could have got a conclusion there. I wanted to see how that played out, man, because I've never heard of that before. I've never seen that happen before, and it would have been interesting, man. But I can also see the argument about the optics, right? Because you hear that as well. It doesn't look like football. Looks like rugby. What is this? It's like, man, all right, like, do we really care now that much about optics for this type of play?
mm-hmm. And I mean, like, what do you put in the rule book that could make them get rid of this? Like, it's a
Yeah,
football play. What do you
because
put in there?
it's a quarterback sneak, but you have a guy pushing the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember the controversial Reggie Bush pushing Matt Leinart, USC versus Notre Dame. You might have been a little too young for that, but it was one of them ones. But it was pretty crazy when that thing happened. But then from there, we've seen how the game has evolved. How you can literally pick up running backs, push them 10 yards. We saw Jalen Warren score a touchdown 2 years ago in Seattle, just like that. So when I think of where we're allowing it to go to, I don't have an issue if we allow defenders to, be able to push their D lineman. I think that would be a fair trade off. It's like, yeah, you push your guy, I can push my guy.
Yeah,
Because I think that offsets some of the lopsidedness that we're seeing right now when it's guard, super strong quarterback, and running back pushing against a 290-pound or 300-pound D lineman by himself.
yeah, it's not fair.
That's yeah. It's just like he's the odds are slanted so much in his opposition that he really doesn't stand a chance right here.
Yeah, I really do think that would be the best path if you change defensive rules to make it easier for them to stop this, because changing the rules of the offense would it's just not what people want to
Yeah.
see in the NFL. I think if they can work in the confines of the rules, I think that's great. I mean, comparing it to like the MLB, they just came out with these torpedo bats, and people are like, "How are they doing this?" But it's within the rules. It may seem like it's
It
cheating,
is.
but the game advances, and defenses need to
Yeah.
advance as well and keep up with the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, all right. When can these Pirates get these torpedo bats?
Honestly.
Please hurry in a hurry. We need all of that, man."
Yeah.
But obviously, like I said, man, they tabled the tush push, so we still got some time on that. We'll circle back to it. But another one that got tabled that also had some steam was getting removing division winners having automatic play or automatic home playoff games. How do you feeling about that one, man? We obviously heard Coach Tomlin hit us with the "I'm a purist. I like the divisions. They matter."
Mm-hmm.
What's your energy on it, man?
Yeah, I completely agree with how the Steelers are seeing this. These divisional games are so important and they mean so much, especially to the AFC North. I think maybe if I was like
The
a
North is
Colts
crazy.
fan, if I was a Colts fan in those AFC South games, I wouldn't really care. But this is AFC North football. It's different. We need to protect and make these rivalries mean something. So I definitely am not a fan of what the Lions proposed. It is weird how the Vikings, go 14-3 and then have to go on the road in the playoffs. Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe you should just win the division. That's my take on it. If you want that,
I
then you
could
need
dig
to
that.
win it.
Yeah, I could definitely dig that.
I definitely think that as an AFC North fan, and these rivalries mean so much, I think that we need to protect this and not mess around with the seeding in the playoffs.
Yeah, for me, man, I have a similar stance on it, man. I feel, the divisions matter for a reason. We play these teams twice a year for a reason. And when you just talk about the rivalries, you talk about the history of some of these matchups, you lose so much of that when you take away the prize of the home game for winning the division. That's the
Mm-hmm.
whole purpose of it. And yes, have we had scenarios where teams that have, better records have had to travel on the road in the postseason? Yes. But these are outlier scenarios. For every, oh, the Vikings had to go to the Rams. The other one we're going to bring up? You remember when the New Orleans Saints had to go out to play the Seattle Seahawks with the Beastquake? You know how long ago that was, man?
Yeah.
It's like, man. So I'm like, okay, are we about to really do when was the last time the Texans or the Colts or one of those teams might have done it, but it was maybe a 1 or 2 game difference.
Yeah.
So I think that this is more a big reaction to an outlier scenario. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, there still is no rule opposed to the Vikings beating the Detroit Lions that last game of the season.
Yeah.
If they beat them, you know what happens? Detroit is on the road and the Vikings are hosting a playoff game. So I'm with you on it, man. Win your division, the games matter. And yeah, there might be a season where you get this scenario. It is what it is. Sometimes that's tough luck. I mean, I remember, even when, during my time playing, and granted the playoff structure was 6 teams instead of 7 teams per conference, but it was times we had 3 teams from the division make it. And it's like, man, why was that? Why did that work? Why was it as cool even back then? It was like, because, they got the division champ, but these are the 2 at large, essentially, man. And there is still nothing taken away from that with our current model.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we're looking at one specific scenario that became outlier, and now we're trying to change the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, man, you might as well get rid of divisions. What is the purpose of this division opponent? Why do I need to play them twice versus playing just random teams and just having the best record that I can have?
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, like we talk about in college football, but obviously it'd have a little bit more structure. But, I think of it like that almost, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think winning a division has to mean something. It has to mean something, and not winning it has to. You can't just be right up
to
there.
It, man.
There has to be consequences, exactly.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I think another thing is like strength of schedule. I think that needs to play a factor into it. You can't just just because a team has a better record doesn't mean that they were the better team. And I think going through a divisional playoff structure like the NFL has now, I think it evens out the playing field. Were the Vikings really a top 2 team in the AFC last year? Or sorry, the NFC last year.
NFC, yeah.
That's what I meant. Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were. On paper, by the numbers, they were. But I think by the end of the season, we found out what they really were, and they were seated in the correct spot.
To me, I think that's why I just love the playoffs, because it's like, man, we don't have to worry about who we think is good or not good, whose record means more than others. You're going to play the best. And in order to win it all, you have to beat these teams, regardless if it's a home game or a road game. We know that you can do it either way, and we've seen pros and cons to both approaches, going on the road or being at home. But I just, once again, man, I just feel like this is that reaction to the outlier scenario, man. Oh my God, that can't happen. And it's like, all right, well, when's the last time it did happen? Except we're going back to 2010, man. Like, I think we're in the right direction, man. I think everything is in a good place from that standpoint, but we will see, because like I said, that did get tabled until May as well, man. So clearly it has some type of steam to it.
What do you think could see happening first? That they switch this seeding to make it by like the record, or they add make it 8 teams per division in the playoffs, per conference? I mean,
I could see them adding 8 before they switch this up.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah. Because I think, man, when you switch this up, you lose the branding. You lose the importance of a division championship. I'm not celebrating no hat and t-shirt and caring so much about winning the division when it's not even going to guarantee me a home playoff game. Now I'm just like, yo, how healthy can I be going into the postseason?
Yeah.
That becomes the priority. Just be healthy, man. Win enough games that you're mathematically going to be in, but just be healthy, man, because if you're not, one of those teams that are just hot, you know how it is, man. Every year you get one or two teams that are just hot. And yeah, they're the 13, 14 win teams. It's like, all right, if I know I can't catch that, man, I'm changing my perspective. Whereas there have been times that I know for a fact in Pittsburgh where around mid-season, we're like, yo, we know what time it is. We got to win this division. Like,
Yeah.
forget everything else. We got to get this. So an NFC game, you might drop that. You're not tripping. Why? Because I know Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Seeing them twice a year, and I got to have all of those. And as long as I have those, I'm punching my ticket to the dance, and you got to come to Pittsburgh at least for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how weird it gets, you might get a second one here.
Yeah.
I think that still should matter, man. And like I said, man, maybe that's because that was, the era that I grew up watching in, obviously the era that I grew up playing in as well. But to me, I just think that that's kind of what separates us from college. It's less about the opinions of style points. It's less about, oh, you won, but I don't know if your win is as good as their win. I don't want to hear none of that, man. Like what we do here, we do it a certain way. And it's the professional way. Mm-hmm. And it's less of the emotional element. It's literally just business. Yay or nay. Not your 10 wins darn cool as their 10 wins. We ain't doing that. But I think that that's what you kind of start to tread towards potentially when you start making those type of changes, man. So, like I said, man, definitely going to be a good one. Definitely going to be a good one. Now, before we get up out of here, I do got to ask, man, because obviously I know in your prediction when we talked on the live was Aaron Rodgers is a done deal. He will be here. We just waiting on McAfee to show up in town. And then after that, Rodgers going to go. Is he going to like hang glide into the stadium? Like how's he going to get to PPG? Like, is he going to come up on a Zamboni? Like what? I just don't know yet. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
once we get him there, he signs it, then everything's good, right? I just didn't know how what's the plan with that.
I'm thinking a lot of like smoke, a lot of smoke machines, fog machines, making a big scene, make some pyrotechnics, get the crowd all fired up. I'm wondering if they'll announce, if Pat McAfee will announce your next quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers.
Almost like he does it like a WWE event.
Yeah. Or if he'll let Aaron Rodgers come out and make the announcement himself. Either way, it's going to be electric. And I think it's going to happen.
Absolutely. So I got to ask then, if that is the case and Rodgers does sign, what are you doing at pick 21 come NFL draft time?
Now, if Ashton Genty is on the board, you got to take him. A generational athlete. Right now, I don't think he's going to be on the board at that point in the draft. But if it is, I think you have to take him. We always say don't draft a running back in the first round, but this type of talent comes around once in a generation. I think you have to take him here. And there's obviously a need for running back in the Steelers right now. Jaylen Warren, I think he's a good running back, but I do lack some trust in his health. I don't know if he's able to sustain a full season as that number one guy. So I think running back some point in the draft, but if Ashton Genty is there in the first round, you take him. If Omarion Hampton is there, I'm thinking about it. It wouldn't be my first decision. My first decision outside Genty would be defensive tackle. You need to strengthen the trenches. Cam Hayward is not going to be around forever. That's the biggest
do you
thing
got
to
somebody
me.
that you like? You got a D-lineman you like?
There's a few names. Mason Graham, I like him a lot.
Yeah, shout out to Mason.
Grant, the Michigan guys,
the Michigan
are
boys.
dogs.
Yeah.
Walter Nolan is another dog. And then
Ole Miss, yeah.
Another guy, Derek Harmon from Oregon.
Finally, I was about to say, shout out 5'5", man. Come on, bro.
I've been really high on him this year. I think that he was a big piece on that Oregon defense and made them very successful throughout the year. I think he could be a good guy to, kind of fill that role that Cam Hayward is going to be leaving in the next few years. He's not going to be around forever. I do think Keanu Benton is a tremendous player. I think he's going to be just fine this year. But if you have Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and then you have a young guy to learn from these two and get involved, I think that's exactly what the Steelers need. You saw the Eagles, they dominated the trenches in this Super Bowl. That is how they won that game. Jordan Davis, you need a huge, freaky defensive tackle. And I think there are so many in this draft that the Steelers can get in the first round. So outside of Ashton Genty, who I think is the freakiest athlete in the draft in some time, in my opinion, I think defensive tackle is definitely the play for the Steelers.
Let's go. I like it. Now, Dom, you might have sold me on that on the D lineman part, man. All right, because I've been over here, I've been back and forth on running back, back and forth on wide receiver. TG was trying to talk me into linebackers, but what you just
Mm,
did right there with that D lineman talk, I'm like, you know what? Bringing up Jalen Carter, yeah,
mm-hmm.
Jordan Davis, the big boys, what they did in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We saw the Super Bowl run. Milton Williams, they just dominated you
Yeah.
in that space, man. So I like it. I like the mindset. And we do got Andy Weidel. You know that's one of his things, man. So
Mm-hmm.
all right,
Yeah.
okay. Dom, hey,
Build the
hey, shout out to
trenches.
you. Shout out to you, Dom. Build the trenches, man. So with that being the case, man, you got anything else before we get up out of here, man? Because I like how you doing that right there. I like how you dropping it off right there, man.
Just stay tuned for April 9th. Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's it.
There it is. There it is. My man Dom is doubling down. He's telling y'all, this is what it is. This is the date. Stop playing games, all right? So, with that being the case, you already know what to do. Hit the like button one time for the culture and subscribe if you are new to the channel. We definitely appreciate you for tuning in. And until next time, baby, peace.